Hello, this is a start to a new podfic called Broken Souls Are Healed by Hope, written by TheFoggyLondonView, read by Stick. Summary. Anarchy, previously known as Izuku Midoriya, was a villain. He never wanted to be one, and he's certainly not proud of what he's done. But after being burned and betrayed time and time again by everyone he dared put trust in, he wound up little choice in the matter. At 28 years old, he's long accepted his world and a lost cause, and decides to leave and start again in another universe. His only goal had been to live out his remaining days alone in peace and quiet, but that changes when he finds himself faced with the Izuku from this world. One half his age, and still full of bright, unbroken hope. Suddenly finding himself unwilling to allow his younger counterpart to be broken and warped by the world like he had been, Anarchy finds himself drawn into being a major part of his younger self's life. For the first time, he has someone to care for, someone who looks back at him in turn with nothing but admiration. His younger self is so full of light and kindness, and if Anarchy has to be the soldier that stands between the teen and what seeks to break him, then so be it. One day the kid will be a hero Anarchy was never allowed to be. He just never expected for the kid to save him too. Izuku's eyes roamed over the machine in front of him. 2 years of research and an additional 10 months spent on construction and programming has brought him here, to his last chance to leave all this bullshit his life had turned into. Truth be told, this was never the way he had wanted it to turn out. Not really. He hadn't ever wanted to resort to the things he's done. Bloody acts that can't be changed or fixed. Izuku almost scoffed at that. Nothing in this shithole is worth fixing anyway. He should know after all. He spent his adolescence and the first few years of his early 20s trying to bleed the poison from the society's veins, only to find the cancer too deeply embedded to weed them out. He should have known better than to think he could heal the blackened heart of the people and make it beat again with compassion. Violence and betrayal had followed him like a shadow for all 28 years of his life, and he knows he's not the only one it pursues. Trust is fake. Camaraderie is a joke, and happiness is a lie. This world is corrupted, actively working to burn the spirit and crush any flickers of hope. Izuku's spirit survived the many burnings, not left in ash like so many others. But the heat of hate had left it warped and jagged. Left alone in abandonment and betrayal, he'd become lost in his anger, though he'd still wish for the peace he's never once been granted. Now, he's here, having long since embraced the role of villain he's been forcibly pushed to. It was never what he wanted, never what he intended, but he learned his lessons too late to stop what was already in motion. He was so tired now. Never has he been given peace. Not even after single-handedly taking over the country could he find peace. Fringe groups of heroes keep attacking, trying to bring things back to normal, as if the normal they referred to wasn't deathly sick with hate that flowed through corrupted veins. Besides them, other villains keep trying for power, and civilians don't exactly like him either. He could hardly walk down the destroyed remains of Tokyo without having to shoot someone dead.
Anarchy, I finished calibration.
Izuku departed from his thoughts at the sound of his villain name. He hadn't gone by his legal name in over a decade, and looked over at the only other person down here with him. Mei Hatsum stood with a tablet in hand and slight frown on her face, eyes focused on the tablet. She started on the hero side, but it became quickly apparent as Izuku had unearthed the vileness of the world for all to see that it wasn't out of morals. All she wants to do is build and invent, so she'll align with whoever can provide the most money and resources for her to do so. Given Izuku is at the top of the food chain, it wasn't hard to get her to work for him exclusively, and it took both their genius minds working together to finish the project in front of them. And? Izuku prompted her. What are the results?
Everything is working as it should, but it's unstable,
Mei reported. Unstable? Izuku questioned. Are you saying we can't use it? The machine in front of them looked much like a doorway, with machinery all around it, but instead of a door or being able to see through to the other side, the entryway was filled with warping colors and was giving off a humming sound. Mei took a breath. Izuku wasn't facing her, but she recognized his tone as a warning.
It can be used successfully now, but only once,
Mei clarified.
It'll collapse on itself the moment the first person is through. They'll never be able to get back, and we'll be at square one again, because the force of the destabilization will cause the whole thing to overload.
In other words, the whole thing will blow sky high. Perfect. Thank you, Hatsum, Izuku said, still facing away, something sharp and deadly that resembled a smile ghosting the corners of his lips. You're dismissed.
Hatsum nodded. All right. I'll start work on the formulas to get things fully stabilized. I know you hate delays.
Izuku waited until she was partway across the room before pulling his gun from its holster and shooting her in the back of the head. She was dead before she hit the floor. Never saw it coming. It wasn't anything personal. He rather liked her, actually, but he couldn't leave her alive. Not when she now knew exactly how to build a project before them. He will not risk his plan by leaving any loose ends wandering about, where they can grow into yet another betrayal to add to the list. He walks over to her corpse and takes her now cracked tablet, quickly defeating all her files and schematics on the project. He'd never allowed her to take information of the project off his servers, and was ruthless in enforcing the rule, so destroying any hopes of rebuilding the machine was easy. Nevertheless, he took a bit of time to go to his server room and light it on fire, dousing much of the floor in both the server room and out of it in gasoline to help the spread. When done, he cracked the tablet in two over his knee and tossed the pieces into the now blazing fire. With that done, he returned below to where the machine still stood humming. He grabbed pre-packaged bags from behind a crate, a duffel and a backpack, then stood before the machine. With his building burning, destroying all his files, and the only other person who can build another one of these dead, now was the time to make his move. Izuku stepped up to the doorway and took a breath before stepping through the warping colors, leaving both that dark basement level and his sins behind. This world was unsalvageable, so Izuku had finally decided to just let everyone else have that one and take his leave by escaping to a new one that hopefully won't be rotten to its core. The machine they've built was a portal to another universe, and once Izuku had stepped through it, it destabilized, doing just as predicted. In a mighty explosion that rocked the very foundation of the building, the portal machine decimated itself and took the rest of the building out with it. Nothing but rubble and fire remained, and though people of that world searched for proof of his death, no signs of Izuku was ever found. Far away in another world entirely, Izuku steps out of an alley and breathes in fresher air than he's experienced in a long time. Looking around, he saw nothing but people peacefully going about their lives, entirely unharmed. No fire or rubble lined the streets, and the sky was a cloudless blue. Izuku didn't know whether to laugh or start sobbing. It worked. He's in a new world. He has another chance.